will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I took up the road.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you were here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man,
MH.
He is the DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here interviewing the best professionals in the game and in the boardroom, laughing at it all, covering it all, while providing a platform to be heard. All right, so like we do about this time, is want to welcome our esteemed guest. All right, so she is part of the Divine Nine. So she's a Delta, so she's been throwing that dynasty sign. A former athlete, HBCU alum, and she's also has Mafia Ties. So you got to be careful here. She's here to let you know that.
Feds are listening. I don't have Mafia Ties.
See, look, she's going out protecting already. And she's here to let you know that women are taking over. Currently the senior manager of the collective at Wasserman. Please, let's clap it up for Laura Walters Brown.
What's going on? That intro is kind of fire. I'm not going to lie. I was bopping a little bit over here.
It's all good. That's what we want to bring you in right. So how we start the show is we always start the show with a shoot your shot moment. So the shoot your shot moment is we want to ask you, when did you shoot your shot? You could have won, you could have lost, you could have fumbled the bag, but just a time in life where you shot your shot. It can be any kind of experience that you had, but don't give us that, oh, I always shoot my shot. We want a targeted, specific
time I shot my shot.
You shot your shot. Will you bet on yourself?
Every single day. That's a hard question. Like, I work in gender equity. I shoot my shot every single day. Like, I don't have a specific incident that I can think of off rip. When did I shoot my shot? I mean, I literally shot shots in high school. Lifetime Raleigh's seen me a couple times shooting shots. I'm a spot up shooter now in my post 30 age. But for the most, when have I shot my shot? That's a great question, fam. I don't have an answer for that. I'm gonna need you to circle back.
Hey, we could definitely circle back, and we could bring this up like as we're going through, and we'll tag something that to a specific thing where you shot your shot. MH?
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning, Laura. Where did your love for sports start?
Oh, that's a great question. I think my love for sports started when I was born. Like, I feel like that's corny and cliche, but I would take that back. Actually, I think my love for sports didn't start until I was at a college adult.
Wow.
I think I've been playing sports since I was 3, but it was never like I love to do this. It was more of this is your last name is Brown, and this is what we do in this family, and you gonna do this, and none of your siblings are athletic, so you are the great hope. Go forth and bounce a ball, kick a ball. I hit a ball, couple, swung, served, all of the sports. But I don't think I actually fell in love with sports until I could do it for fun, which was after college.
So a coach's daughter.
Oh my God. Like, when Remember the Titans came out, I thought the whole world got a glimpse into my life, because I was that little girl, the Black version, but like, I did have a mouth. But I was out at East High School in the summertime painting the field by hand because my dad was too cheap to go get the little spray thing. And I don't know if you've ever painted an entire football field on grass by hand, but it takes a very long time, especially when you're 10.
Can't say
yeah. How those lines look? How those lines? We got receivers all offsides, everything.
Look, I don't know, but whatever we did, they went like undefeated, and we're putting up basketball scores on the football field. So I feel like that was my direct contribution to a career of winning.
I feel it. I think that's love, honestly. I mean, if you paint the football field by hand,
is it? Because I'm pretty sure they call it child abuse now. I think it's called child abuse. I'm pretty sure free labor is considered child abuse at this point in time.
Character building.
I don't know.
Character building. What was the first sport?
Oh man, basketball. Basketball.
Okay.
I've had a basketball in my hand since I was 3. There's actually a picture of me. Let my dad tell it. He will pull it out. I think it's actually on my Instagram. My post for my dad is the aftermath. I'm in this little blue ugly Easter dress. Y'all remember? I don't know if y'all remember it, but a long time ago, they used to put little black girls in these little paisley looking, mine was light blue dresses with like ruffling and things and like the white patent shoes with the straps and the matching socks.
I got you.
Right?
I was a deacon too. I was a deacon. We matched because I was a deacon and I was deacon at 5 years old.
You had those, right? I just wanted to play basketball, and so while we were supposed to be taking pictures, I had a basketball in my hand and I was shooting shots from like my little plastic basketball hoop, and I got in so much trouble. My mom was like, "Don't you get my dress dirty?" Because I was matching my sister. We were supposed to be taking pictures. It was a whole thing. So I've been playing basketball since I was 3. And then I actually picked up a soccer ball when I was 5. Okay. And then did that up through high school.
I think that would be illegal, but I think picking up the ball would kind of be illegal, but
actually not, because I was a goalie.
All right. Stand corrected.
There you go. There you go.
I was a goalie.
Dang, all right.
So, yeah, that was my job.
Back
so how were you designated to be the sports child?
I was the only one that had athleticism. Like my older sister is 5'3", and my younger brother is a genius. And so he's actually 6'1", like good size body, and could like really tear you up on the football field. But in middle school, he actually read the contract that you have to sign that basically says this sport could kill you, and if it does kill you, it's not our fault. And he took the contract, took it to the headmaster at his school with like a dissertation as to why he wasn't going to play.
Certified genius level stuff right there.
Certainly, like the stuff he knows is beyond anything that I can ever comprehend. I just let him have that. That's his win. That's his lane. Go forth and be great. But I've been daddy's little girl since I was born. So dad did all the sports. My uncles did all the sports. I grew up with mostly male cousins, something like 8 plus uncles, like uncles but not uncles, and they cousins, but they live next door. I have some of those. But they would always they would always try to beat me up and not let me play basketball. Now they're old and gross. Love you, cousins. If you watch this, I love you so much.
So what was it like growing up in Ohio?
First of all, I want to say this. I feel like Ohio gets a bad rap. Like, I went to undergrad. When I went to undergrad, mind you, I went to undergrad in South Carolina, in Orangeburg. Yes. Okay? Google Orangeburg. Okay? There's no Uber. Uber does not exist. There are no ride shares in Orangeburg. Yet, everybody thought I grew up on a farm.
Because you're from Ohio. That's natural.
No, I was like, I never understood it. I'm like, I have sidewalks. I grew up with like grass in between the sidewalk, just like everybody else, and paved roads and grocery stores and electricity.
Well, that's where all the Amish are from, right? They think all the Amish are from Ohio.
That's on the other side. That's up that way. That's up that way. But it was dope. I mean, it was dope growing up. I had a great childhood. I think I was very fortunate to have an amazing childhood and be, surrounded by amazing people that I definitely didn't know were amazing when I was there. I just thought it was normal. But, when I grew up, I kind of discovered that was not normal, and that most people didn't have the benefit of being around some really dope people. So Ohio's great. I love it to visit now, but I like
the way you just added to visit.
It's like an Ohio thing, especially I don't know what it is. It's like an Ohio thing. Like, you grow up there, you love it. We ride hard. Like, we can talk about Ohio. Nobody else talk about Ohio, but like, I don't want to live there right now.
Same. I mean, like I have family back in Ohio, exactly. And I can only visit during a certain time frame in the summer months. Like, I can't go back when it's cold. Like, so I get all of that stuff. So
yeah, it gets a little chilly.
Really, really does quickly. All right, so we talked a little bit of sports, right? So you basketball, first thing you picked up, played a little soccer, and then I mean, you went to school for volleyball, so on a scholarship. So where did volleyball come in, and how did you get from playing these, couple sports and track too, right? Like when you were a little shot
Yeah,
put.
I threw. I've been the same size, like adult size, since I was like 14, maybe 12. So like they really thought I was going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped growing, and then everybody else caught up with me. It was a very dramatic time in my life. But I actually ended up playing volleyball because that might have been the first time a man told me I couldn't do something. And so I went and did it anyway. So I was going to go to college to play soccer. Like that was my dream growing up. It sounds completely irrational because I wanted to be Mia Hamm, but like,
no, that was a time point, right? I mean,
right. It's just like the Gatorade commercial just came out with Mia Hamm and Michael Jordan. And I was like, I'm going to be Mia Hamm. I'm going to go to UNC. I'm going to be the best goalie in the world. It's going to be great. And I got to high school and my dad taught conveniently. My father taught at my high school. He conveniently left the middle school to come to high school a few years before I arrived. And so the coach actually was like, told my dad, like, we've got a senior goalie who hasn't got a scholarship yet. So Laura's going to have to sit the bench a year. And my dad was like, we don't do that in this house. Like, she doesn't sit the bench, and your senior plays on like the local team, and my daughter plays on the national team in the same league. So make it make sense to me, fam. And so I did not play soccer. I was the end of my soccer career because they told me to sit the bench. It's the beginning of my cockiness in my sport career. And so I went to play volleyball. And I got out to volleyball, and no lie, can I cuss on this show? I'm not going to cuss. I'm going to do well. The volleyball coach was
yes,
like,
no, by the way.
Yeah, do your thing.
I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be better because my mother will see this. Hey, mom, better. Like, I got to summer, and I'm going to camp. And actually, in 8th grade, I missed the high school camp to go to like an AAU tournament or something. And my 8th grade volleyball coach, grown woman, got in my face and was like, you'll never play high school volleyball because you didn't go to the camp. And I was like, okay, why are you yelling at me? She had coffee breath. It was really bad. But then I got to high school, and the Coach Belt was like, I want you on varsity. And she was like, but you got to make your 1.5 mile time. No, I'm not a runner, never have been. No. So like, I'm sitting here in summertime. That's why I was goalie. Look, inside of my box.
You're good to go. You got that everything locked down.
You can't hold me. I got you here. I can control everybody in my box. I'm running you over at that point in time. That's why I was a goalie, because I wasn't afraid. Like, forget the ball. If I take you out, you can't score. That was my whole thought process.
Mm-hmm.
But my varsity volleyball coach actually was going to bench me. She put me on JV until I made my 1.5 mile time after making me cry in 2 days in the summertime. And so made my 1.5 mile time. They made me a cake. That's how serious it was. They made me a cake. They made me a
reward?
cake. Because they were like, finally, this little chunky 8th grader got her life together and made her 1.5 mile time. Now we can win. And they pulled me up to varsity my freshman year. I played middle hitter. I stopped growing. They were like, oh crap, she's not going to grow anymore. Became an outside hitter my junior year, I think, in club, because all of my friends are taller than me in high school. I'm 5'8". So like all of them are taller than me at that point. So my coach was like, you're gonna have to learn to play outside if you want to do anything, because there's this freshman coming in who's 6 foot.
Uh-oh.
And another one behind her who's 6'2". And I was like, well, I don't sit the bench. So I learned to play outside. had a club coach again tell me I'd never play volleyball in college outside of the MAC. And so I decided to go out on a limb and turn down my basketball scholarship offers and turn down my volleyball in Ohio scholarship offers and do what he said I couldn't do. So I ended up at South Carolina State, which was, I look back, I didn't sign my national letter of intent till like the spring of my senior year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were introduced to the, I guess, politics of sports. It seems like, pretty early. Do you think that in a way had you more prepared for collegiate athletes or athletics? I'm sorry.
I think that's a good question. I think for me, I was very fortunate to have an amazing father who knew sports and was an amazing coach and was a former college athlete himself and was a Black man who understood how little Black children were treated in the suburbs when you're one of however many. I was the first Black volleyball player on varsity in my high school in 2001. And so I think he hid the politics from me. Like, he just came in and be like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to play. Okay, we're going to play. And then I don't know what else happened after that. Or when I said I didn't want to play basketball anymore, he was like, okay. And he handled my high school basketball coach, was like, Laura wasn't at practice today. And I was like, she told you she wasn't coming. Like, I don't know what she wanted me to do. She told you. But I think that the biggest thing that prepared me for college sports was I didn't know any other lifestyle. Like, I've been playing, I played a sport every single season since I was 4. So I didn't know any other lifestyle. So I think for me, the bigger shock was like after college sports, because I didn't have it anymore. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? What is this free time? What is this? I'm just like, here? I can sleep in? This is new. But yeah, I'm a little different than most people, I think. At least my journey was.
So tell me about your HBCU experience. I mean, are you because we definitely want to highlight that right now. I think it's definitely the revolution right now of HBCUs. It's getting the attention it should have been getting. But tell me about your HBCU experience and why you ultimately chose there.
Yeah, I went to the South Carolina State University. My HBCU experience was lit. I don't care what anybody else says about their university. I had an amazing time. I went from being one of to being like amongst many. And I was like, oh, I lost my mind. I was the kid that you see in like the movies that shows up after their parents drop them off in that old school Lexus truck that all the old dads drive. Yeah. Dad dropped me off. And as soon as he left, I go to practice. And then I like run into all the other athletes that are there in the summertime. And I'm like, oh. Okay. Like it took me one visit to sign. It took me one visit. Oh my God, I had so much fun. I got my ears pierced at my HBCU. My teammates took me. I may have been intoxicated. There may be a video on YouTube. I got my ears pierced at my HBCU.
Yeah, research.
Look, go try. You can try and find. It was in like the double. I think I'm pretty sure I had like a double popped like Old Navy collar.
The old Kanye.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh yeah,
the old Kanye.
Yeah.
That was a vibe. That was a vibe. Yeah,
that was also
matching my little Old Navy whale. Yeah, that was me.
That's
I did that. Yeah, but like I mean, everything happened at State. Like I discovered music. I discovered what my natural hair curl pattern was. Like your girl had a perm every 6 weeks my entire life because no one really knew how to do my hair. So I get to school and 1, I can't afford to get a relaxer. And 2, all my teammates are like, your hair curls up when it's wet. I'm like, really? I didn't know that. Learned I had curly hair in my HBCU. I got to witness the first Black president being elected into office at my HBCU. I I got to experience homecoming at HBCU. Some of my best friends I still have from South Carolina State. And I think the biggest thing that was awesome for me, I got to learn who I was and become comfortable in my identity, but also learn like the real history and learn the history of Black people before slavery and all the different histories, and experience all the different colors of Black and cultures. Like, I can thoroughly understand Geechee. I didn't know what that was. DJ, you're looking like, what is Geechee? Are you like,
No.
you don't know? No?
Geechee.
MH? No?
Nope. Educate.
All right, y'all. Okay, so vibes. Y'all remember that show, Gullah Gullah Island?
Binya.
Like, Pollywog. That one.
Yes.
Yes, that one. So Gullah is like a real culture. There are people in Charleston, South Carolina. They are of they're Gullah, and they speak Geechee. It's like a it's like an African dialect that is really fast, and it's really fast. It's really fast. But I can understand Geechee fluently now. Like,
just being absorbed in the culture.
Oh my God. Yes. I saw cotton in real life being picked by hand. What else? I was just exposed. So much happened at my HBCU. Some that I'm so glad I didn't have a digital copy of it.
We're gonna find that digital copy if you get your ears pierced.
I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is.
So we did have Nicole B on the show, which is also a volleyball player. So
my homie, the homie.
Yes, Ms. Brittenrider was on here. So who would get buckets? Like who's the best volleyball player out of you two? Because she went to a named school as well.
Who's the better volleyball player?
Yes.
Different positions. Different positions.
You
can't really
back down. That's the easy way out.
Look, I'm trying to live my life right. Okay, I'm trying to get all the energy from the world and the good vibes.
Yes.
So I'm not gonna sit here and be like I'm the best in the world. I might think it. Others may feel differently. I don't know. I feel like
can you still give people buckets? Can you still give people buckets?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
My shoulder is done. I blew my shoulder out. No, I got it fixed. It's not been the same since I retired, which is why I picked up the basketball as an adult. I don't need my shoulder. It's all in the legs.
Fair. Sorority of your sorority. Why Delta? Why you choose Delta?
Oh man. So that's a great question. I don't think many people know this story about me. Obviously my line sisters do. But when I was five, my birth mother died from breast cancer. And so I didn't know that side of the family. I don't really have a lot of memories of that side because I was five. But I got to South Carolina State and I didn't know anything about Greek life. My dad's a GDI. He is the president of Me. And Greek life just wasn't in our household like that, even though that, the woman my father married, who I call my mom now, is an AKA. I got to South Carolina State, the AKAs are hitting me up, the Deltas are hitting me up, and I'm like, I don't know either. I don't really know anything. So I ended up actually going home that year to visit the family, and I swung by my mom's tombstone, and I noticed Delta Sigma Theta on her headstone. And so I was like, what's that? So I called my sister. I'm like, yo, why didn't you tell me mom was a Delta? She was like, I thought you knew. I'm like, bro, I was 5. I didn't know. She was like, well, I'm a Delta. I was like, since when? Why did I had no clue. So then, so I go back to state and I'm like, well, I'm going to join Delta to be a part of an organization that my sister was a part of, that my mother was a part of. And so I joined Delta Sigma Theta to not only, embody the values in what it stands for and what, the organization does in the community and what it, does for each other. But for me, it was more so an opportunity to get a bit of my mother's history and learn more about her and learn more about who she was. And so that's actually why I got my line name, The Living Legend, which is my Instagram handle.
That makes so much sense. Yes, okay. That's what I came.
Everybody's like, why don't you change your Instagram? I can never find you on Instagram. That's okay. That's okay. But so that's why I joined Delta, and I haven't regretted it since. I think it was I never believed like you should be this because you look like that. Like I used to love getting that question, and to this day I love getting that question. Like, I bet you pledge this. And I was like, you don't know me, fam. Like, you don't look. You don't know me. That was another life.
Another life.
But yeah, that was another life. South Carolina State lore was a ooh.
Well, moving on from South Carolina State lore. Let's get into these Mafia ties. What made you choose Ohio University?
Oh boy. Actually, I didn't choose Ohio University.
It chose you. You choose a street life. It chose you.
Gene Smith chose Ohio University for me. That's what happened.
Really?
Yeah. So I interned at Ohio State because, again, I had no clue what I wanted to be as an adult when I left undergrad because nobody told me what I could be at when I wasn't an athlete anymore. Right. Or they probably didn't. I didn't listen. A little hard-headed. I don't know if you can imagine. But when I know, right? Interned at Ohio State for a couple years. My second year, my internship, Gene Smith actually we were in an elevator together. And on the way down in the Fawcett Center, there's like 12 floors. And he meets me intern in the elevator. And I'm sitting here in the elevator next to Gene Smith. He was like, so what are you doing next year? And I was like, I don't know, working here, I guess. And he said, wrong answer. You're going to go back to school. And I was like, the hell I am. And I was like, I don't want to go. And he said, well, too bad. You got lunch with Bruce Wimbish next week. And I was like, who's Bruce Wimbish? I'm like, whatever. I go to lunch. I connect with Bruce. Bruce is like, oh, you're going to go to Ohio University. I'm like, oh, who? I don't even know where it is. I'm from Columbus. No clue where Ohio University is. And he knew the executive director, Jim Kaler, at the time, Jim Kaler. And he called Jim. And by the grace of God and everybody else ignoring exactly what I said I wanted to do and falling asleep in the GMAT, I got into Ohio University because other people told me that's where I needed to go. I was like, I don't want to go here. I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to pay for the GMAT. I don't want to study for the GMAT. I got a horrible score. I didn't care. I got to OU. I was like full of attitude. They asked me, like, what are you going to bring to this program that nobody else can bring? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that went to an HBCU.
Well, then there's that.
Full mic drop.
And Ohio's that's like top sports business like school in the country, right? Am I wrong about that?
Yeah. Well, yes. It's one of the top.
One of the top,
to be specific. Yes.
Okay.
But you didn't know that at the time. And now you definitely, of course, you're glad you did it. Like, hindsight.
I'm so glad. So glad. I think that the network is amazing. I've got the opportunity to connect with so many dope people, amazing people that will pick up the phone, random people who have no clue who I am, but I'll say, hey, Bobcat connection. And they're like, hey, Bobcat, we'll do whatever. I was like, vibes. Hey, you just made me look really good. But no, I love it. I mean,
you guys actually have a Twitter handle called OU Mafia. Like, it's everywhere.
I'm not a part of any undergrad shenanigans. I don't know that life. I am not held responsible. Those are not my words.
Okay. I
went there for graduate school to get, an adult education, and I did that.
So SC Laura didn't make it to OU. She passed.
No,
away.
She definitely did. No, she definitely did. There was some tough moments. If you ask there were some rough moments. But we made it, Mama. We made it.
There it is.
And I'm so glad I went. I think there were a number of times and, opportunities in my life where I had no clue what I was doing. I didn't know. I wasn't thinking about 10 years from now where I want to be. I was like working 7 jobs at the time. I was like, fine, whatever.
This is my favorite subject. You just getting into it. I'm backing up a little bit about this, the transition of athletes after they're done playing sports and into, kind of a second career. How is that transition? I think you're starting to touch on a little bit about working multiple jobs and kind of finding your lane. How is that transition for you? Is there somebody that you can look back on that said that kind of helped you through that transition period?
Yeah, my orthopedic surgeon. She was like, yeah, your knees are trash and they're going to be trash until you're about 40. So figure it out. I was like, okay, I guess so. That's fine. Whatever. I think for me, like that transition, it was hard. I never had an off season. Like I had shoulder surgery right after my senior year, or like after my senior season. So like my spring season, I wasn't paying attention to nobody. Like I went to rehab maybe once or like I did until it was fine, but like I still don't have full range of motion. I'm like, I'm going to this party, whatever vibes. But I think when I left South Carolina State, I still wasn't out of that hustle mode, which is why I had 7 jobs. Like I was going all the time. I never sat down. And I think it wasn't until, I think probably I didn't really figure out how to transition or life. I'm still figuring out, honestly, because I think they don't really prepare you to like little things. The treads on the bottom of my shoes run out. Like I gotta go get new shoes. I gotta buy them. They don't just show up.
Right. You don't go
I'm
to
like,
the
why am I
manager?
slipping? Yeah, I'm like, why am I slipping on this floor? It's like, oh, because you've had them shoes for like 3 years, man. You need some new shoes. But I've always been like, I've never not been doing something. So for me, I think the transition didn't come until really later, like the mental aspect of it, like really understanding and dealing with just sitting down somewhere. Like I'm still working on it. I hate sitting and not doing anything. Now I just nap. And I love those naps.
The rites of passage is naps. And I've been to OU during Halloween. That was definitely always a good time. OU Halloween. I hope I don't stir up any memories.
Yo, Athens at Halloween is probably one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like I remember leaving a bar and I walked past one of my cousins who was not 21 in line to get into a bar. And I was like, what are you doing here? Oh, like I'm just.
She's on
You're not 21.
a recruiting visit. That's it.
Nah. He was. I'm not gonna say what he was doing, but Halloween. I never. Halloween in Athens, because it's home to like a haunted and former insane asylum. Like it's one of the most haunted places on earth. Google.
Did not know that.
Yes. There's a whole building that they now have, put classes in and offices. Like people work in this place where some wild stuff was happening in the basement. And the story I was told was that it used to be an asylum back in the day. And then the Ohio government one day was like, nope, no more funding. And so they just opened the doors.
Oh.
And let everybody out. And they did whatever they did out in these streets, and there's spirits and all kinds of creepy things. I don't play with that, I love Jesus.
Now,
I don't play out here in the streets.
Plead the blood of Jesus on this podcast. God.
Oh my God, all of it.
God, you take control.
God, it's in your hands. Jesus, take the wheel.
Take the wheel and get me home. That is all I needed. Like I would be like I was there for 2 years. I went out for one Halloween. That was all I personally spiritually could handle. Get on the bus to go back to the apartment, and literally at midnight, the like this fog just set in and I was like, I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
I know how this ends. I'm out. That was my life. I've never been back. Nope.
Nice.
I went home, locked my door, said a little prayer.
Yeah, God, you're so good.
I'm not doing it.
Call his name.
Jesus, I'm sitting here like, look, reciting all of my prayers from dinner. Father God, thank you for this food we about to eat. I know I'm not eating right now, but please, it's not time. I'm sorry. I love you.
It's not time. I love it.
Don't let Chucky show up when I close my eyes. I'm sorry for all the wrongs that I've done. I'll never drink again. Like some of that stuff.
All of that stuff.
Yeah, obviously that didn't work.
So I want to move into the career, man, in the game. And you mentioned some of the things. I mean, definitely starting off at Ohio State. You had time with the Cleveland Browns. And then most recently before your current role, which we want to spend a little more time in, but you were with the PGA. And I think that's where I originally met you. You had a little bit of a longer stint at the PGA. I wanted to know how
PGA Tour.
Yes, PGA Tour. Thank you.
2 different organizations.
How did you get into the PGA Tour, which is a predominantly or thought of as a rich white male sport? And how did this little brown girl come into the scene? And I know they loved you after you broke in, but how did you come in there, and what was like one of the major kind of things that you're proud of after leaving that organization? Deep breath. You have flashbacks on that?
Yeah. I grew. There was a lot of growth. That was a growth phase, a growth period of my life. I ended up at the tour because an OU classmate of mine, or who's the year after me, hit me up and was like, yo, there's this social media position at this tournament. I think you'd be great for it. And I was like, I don't do golf. And I was like, whatever, I'll take the interview. At that time, I was living in Cleveland and it was the spring. I'm going to take this free trip down to Florida. What is Ponte Vedra? I don't know what that is. But I took that flight and this is how you know you from Ohio and like you don't understand that there's different climates in the country, because your girl showed up in like a thick winter blazer and pantsuits. So like I was hot because they have you walk the campus. Ain't no air. My guy MH knows about that. And so,
oh gosh, here we go. Inside joke, everybody.
Yeah, that's funny. Chill.
I'll pray for MH. He ain't got no air. Chill. He ain't got no air. I was rocking the hot sweater and sweating all over the place, but they offered me the position and I took it. And the journey began. The journey to self-discovery began. I think that is what I named my PGA Tour phase, was the self-discovery phase, because I came in, I think, very young and impressionable, and I found my voice at the PGA Tour because I felt like the voice was needed.
And so the voice came out of necessity then, right? Like, was it just where you had to kind of develop the voice too? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yes, because I think as a woman, anytime you walk into a male-dominated industry, you like, didn't I just say that?
That's not funny, but
didn't I just say that? Like, literally, I may have or may not have had like this inside joke. I wouldn't even call it a joke. This inside situation with one of my colleagues, and I'm like, look, when we go into these meetings, I'm gonna say something, and then I want you to say the exact same thing a different way. No lie. Multiple times you come out and be like, I'll say, yeah, like we should post on Tuesday at 9 a.m. because the traffic says this, blah, 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 blah. I don't really know if, we're feeling that or, whatever. And then 5 minutes later, my colleague would step up and say, you know what? I think
a male, I take
maybe, yes, a white male, maybe possibly we should post at 9 a.m. What do we think? That's such a great idea. That is such a great idea. And I'm like, so I learned what my voice was at the PGA Tour. I think that the people there are some of the kindest people that work there. Like the people that work there, I think the people there are great. Like I met some amazing people. But I think I was put in a number of situations that required Laura to show up for herself and show up as herself unapologetically. And just keep saying, hey guys, I'm Black. That's it. No, I don't speak for all Black people, but I'm Black. And this is happening. Or, I think maybe we probably shouldn't do it that way. Or, yeah, it's actually very uncomfortable to come to work and see, Trump stickers on people's cars. Like, I really don't want to be in that situation.
All right.
So, my voice was made out of necessity. Like, I think, the tour is a growing organization, and, they're going to be the business that they're going to be. The sport is changing. We're seeing that now with Live Golf. Like it or not, it is here. And it's diverse. And it's different. And they're paying the cash. Where that money comes from, my concern. But I think, the tour, it's like a lot of different agencies or groups or organizations too. It has its ups and it has its downs. But I think for me, the benefit or positive that came out of that was just simply that I found my voice. I found some great hair moisturizing products also, because that humidity is no joke. And bought my first house. So I think overall I ended up on the, on the positive end. Yeah. Pew pew.
There it is. MH rated with those quick hits.
Yes, sir. So first time, this is just some random quick questions so our listeners can kind of get to know you a little better. First time, if ever, you've been starstruck.
Y'all don't laugh at me. MH, you might get this. Don't laugh at me. You're gonna laugh at me. Don't laugh at me.
I'm just hot. I'm not laughing. I'm just hot.
No, you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh. You might sweat a little bit. Get a little glazed donut look.
Yeah, there you go.
I was actually starstruck. First time I was it the first time? The most memorable time I was starstruck, because I've, seen some things in my day, was actually recently at the Black Sports Business Symposium. I'm at the hotel getting on the elevator, and I look in the back and I see Jeff Sims, the Peloton instructor. Oh. And I literally fangirl. I lose my shit. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, yo. Like, I'm in the elevator and it's a small elevator. There's other people in there. They have no clue who she is. And she's definitely just got off the plane and she's going back up to like her room. And I'm like, yo, like, oh shit. I was like, can I take a selfie? Like, I feel like when you work in sports, you never want to be that person who comes up to somebody and be like, yo, can I take a picture in your off time? That was my first response. Can I take a picture? I took a selfie. She was flawless, by the way. And put it in the girls group chat. They cussed me out, by the way, and threatened my life. They were mad because I didn't FaceTime them.
Wow, you
in
saw
the
her.
Elevator. While I was, yes, that was the most memorable time. I think
I love that all of our pre-show stuff has come full circle in this.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It's Peloton. It's that's a real mafia. That's a real mafia. But like, I've met Barack Obama, like, and Jess Sims elicited.
Yeah, no, I can get it. That's the All-State guy for me. Quincy McCall's dad. That's how I feel about it. So same thing.
Okay.
Love and Basketball or The Wood? Which one of those movies?
Love and Basketball.
Okay, debatable.
No, it is not. It's Love and Basketball.
Favorite vacation spot?
Ooh, St. Thomas.
Okay.
Down.
Give me a book that you read lately.
A book that I have read lately. So I do audiobooks. I'm not the sitting down thing.
Do you listen to them fast?
I'm on sleep.
Do you listen
No,
to
I'm
him
not that. No, that's not normal.
That's your
weird.
boy. EJ, talk to him.
My brother does that. I would come
Yeah,
downstairs and he's like,
that's a smart one?
I'm like,
Yeah,
why is it
maybe
so
I got-
fast? Yeah, the smart one.
Yeah.
Two times
Maybe.
fast. Yeah.
He was like, it's efficient. I'm like, yeah, but it's not normal.
That's EJ's inspiration. Okay, EJ, I see you, boy.
He might be a genius. I don't know. I might like where I don't know. What was the most recent book? Like I just started the Mariah Carey book today. And don't judge. I like books read by the author. First of all, don't judge me on my leisure
Mariah
reading.
Carey's reading it?
Mariah's reading it? Like that takes it to a whole nother level.
Oh, okay.
She's reading it. It's like her. Yeah, she's reading it. It's dope.
In high heels.
Probably. She's probably in like a one-piece snappy situation and like really tall heels, and it's probably dark in like there's no light.
Candlelight, right? She's reading
in her.
Candlelight, right?
She's got one Bath and Body Works, eucalyptus situation, and she's just talking about Christmas and how she loves it. I just started it. So give me a minute. But like the last I don't want to say legit. The last book of substance. I shouldn't even say that. I haven't gotten into Mariah's book. I don't know what substance is there or substance. Yeah, so it might be. I actually finished Viola Davis's book, which if you have not read, you need to go read or listen. Yeah, like there's no reason why she should be in the position that she's in. Absolutely none. Okay. Absolutely none. It's she made friends with the rats in her apartment. I'll just say that.
Noted. Money was no object. What would you do?
Nothing. What do you mean?
No object. Where would you go? If you
said nothing.
Nothing. Just chill.
I would do whatever I wanted to do. If money was no object, I would literally just wake up and say, what do I want to do today? And whatever I wanted to do, I would do. You know what? I want to go to Europe today. Okay.
I feel you.
5 planes. Let's go today. That's what I would do. And then obviously I would give my 10% to Jesus and,
thank you.
Feed somebody.
Yeah.
And save the world.
Off top, right? You got to take that 10% off top, especially all these spirits we done allowed in this podcast.
Look, let me go get my sage right now. I'm about to before I go to bed. I got a fresh bottle of extra virgin olive oil in there too. So I'm gonna hit these doors.
Hit them all with that cross, all of them.
My dog is gonna wake up with like just a big old cross.
Right on that head. The grease. Don't even rub it in. Just like it used to be. No. Just let it just sit.
No, just sit there. Where was I? I was somewhere and they were talking about I went to Steph Curry's mom's book thing the other day reading, and Steph Curry was there and he was talking about how in her book she talks about how she used to pray over the Curry children and how he would just wake up in the middle of the night and she would be over him like mumbling with like some oil on his head.
That's why he got that range.
I'm telling you.
That's what that is. He was praying. Could you imagine? I might cry.
I can.
That didn't happen. I don't have good eyesight.
Shout out to mom and pops.
No.
My uncle's a little touched. And one time I woke up. He ain't gonna hear this. Uncle David, you're not touched, bro. You funny. But one time I woke up and he was drinking the blessed oil. That's the most interesting thing I've ever seen. So after that changed my life for a lot of different ways. So
waste not, want not. We're not gonna let that dribble off your forehead. We just gonna sip it up.
We're going all the way off the rails.
We have. My fault, EJ. Go ahead, man.
Just step. This is where the real conversation happens. We got past the like, what did you do when you grew up, and what inspired you to be who you are? No,
I'm with you.
Jess Sims, what's up, folks?
I'm with you. Quincy called that. I'll at you.
All right.
I appreciate you.
getting into the winner circle, we want to talk about, you know, what you're doing right now and with the collective. I mean, just kind of give us a start off, because like I've heard, of course, of Wasserman, right, working in the sports, but then the collective, is this a new venture or a new like division of it? So just tell us a little bit about the collective at Wasserman.
Yeah, so the collective in idea, or serving in the serving for the sake of, or fighting for gender equity, has been a thing Wasserman's been doing for years. 3 years ago, it just formalized into a brand, the collective. I joined the team a little under 2 years ago, and basically we simply exist to create equity and fairness for women's sports and athletes who play women's sports, and any but women who work in sports, or any, you know, sport adjacent. But in addition to that, it's also across music, it's across broadcasting. It's just the fight for gender equity across all. Oh my God, I just put a T on a cross. I'm sorry. This is not. That was my English teacher. I didn't mean to. And so we are here. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's late on my end. I get distracted, and was a formidable part of my life growing up. She was my first Black teacher, English teacher, but had a country accent, so it was a whole thing. I was very confused. But we're doing great work at the collective. We represent some of the top athletes in women's sports from around the world, as well as music artists. And we simply show up to the meeting with, I shouldn't say simply, but we show up to the meeting with stats and facts and information as to why gender equity is smart business. Like, remove the fact that it should be equal or equitable, and that women's sports should be invested in, because it's just the right thing to do. We actually we show up with the numbers to say, this is how it affects your bottom line. Right. And 2/3 of the wealth in the U.S. will be owned by women in like 5 years. So you should probably market to them, and maybe stop putting pink bedazzled jerseys in stock. I'm a grown woman. I don't wear rhinestones. It's just a thing. Nothing against rhinestones.
Yeah, there's a place for it.
I don't definitely. Is there? Yeah. Is there?
I mean,
EJ?
I mean, they're buying it, aren't they? What do the numbers say?
I see how you got yourself out of that one, EJ. The numbers actually say that there isn't enough women's sport merch. You can't buy a number of WNBA players' jerseys. They don't exist. We had a conversation the other day about jerseys and availability and how do we get more, and we can't, because no one wants to order them in advance, and it's a whole thing. Like, if you look at, I won't say their name, but one of the major sport retailer websites, and you sign up for the WNBA notifications, you're going to get advertisements with a t-shirt like on the male mannequin. Like, they don't even put that on a woman's mannequin. So our mission is to show up and to make change, and to kind of rally all of the change makers in the space together to figure out, how do we move together? How do we arm you with the information that you need to go into your meeting to say, yes, maybe we should put, I don't know, free feminine healthcare products in the bathrooms. I don't know. Who carries quarters? I don't carry quarters. And so we really just simply exist to make change, which is such for me, I think it was a much needed break from the day-to-day of digital and social and being on. Like, the work that we're doing is benefiting others and benefiting future generations, because this next Gen Z,
they on it.
Got an attitude. They got an attitude, and will cancel you. Like, they created cancel culture. Like, this is a generation that literally will put you out of business because you still use straws.
Touch on that. That's funny. That's very true. Touch on that a little bit, and shout out to my favorite basketball player out there, Chelsea Gray. Appreciate you, Kalani, hooking me with that jersey. But yeah, that's my favorite player.
Killing it.
Touch on that. She
Oh,
did.
yeah.
She's just cold. It's
Point
just,
guard for real though.
Yeah.
She crazy.
Like some of the
She
passes,
crazy.
I was like,
She crazy.
on a whole nother
it's
level.
like how the
My favorite
mechanics.
player. She's
Yeah.
so cold.
Oh, and then shout out to
Amazing.
Mount Flow that does produce feminine hygiene things in the arenas, in the Suns arena. That's a great
See?
sponsorship that they do over there at the Suns arena. Shout out to my guy Phil who put that together. But yeah, those kind of initiatives are dope.
See? Very important. Very
Gen
important.
Z though, Gen Z. You touched on that,
Yeah.
and how the world is changing in these next 5 years. Where do you see it? How do you see it progressing?
Ooh, I think I feel like a lot of the friction that's happening now outside of people losing their entire minds is centered around this next generation is asking why. And we have created a generation that has felt valued and felt that they had an opinion and that, kids deserve to speak when adults are speaking. We raised that. And so now we're seeing the fruits of that. And they are stepping up to the plate and saying, so my friend group is really diverse. Why, when I go to work, is everybody a cisgendered white male? How does that work? Like, this isn't right. Why is it that, when I go home, or why is it that Sarah never gets invited to go golfing when she actually golfs and I'm a guy? Like, why? They're asking these questions. This isn't fair. And they will tell you what you're doing is not fair. It is not okay. It is affecting somebody's health. And businesses and organizations are going to have to listen because this is the up and coming workforce. And they also notice, I think the BS that we all notice about the industry and about work and just being an adult that we figured out maybe at year 5, 6, 7, they're figuring out at year 2. And so you as an organization have 2 years to prove to this fresh out of college young person who just moved here and doesn't like the fact that you still have paper or have regular straws. You have 2 years to prove to them that they're valued, that their opinion matters, that you are an equitable employer, that you value mental health, that you value them, their voices being heard, that you're going to protect them and provide a safe space where their opinions and all of these things that we taught them were important back at the Montessori when they were 2. They're coming in hot. And like, oh, so we not valued here? That's fine.
Deuces.
Peace. Like, we did a presentation with one of our think tank professors. We work with colleges and universities from around the world to blend or bring their college academic research to the industry in a way that the industry understands. And so one of our professors, Nicole Melton over at UMass, shout out, what up, Nicole? They actually did a study where they looked at Gen Z students and asked them to identify a professional sport league, and they gave them 4 that they wanted to work for. These young, amazing people went to LinkedIn and started looking at the people that worked there on LinkedIn, but then looked at how long it took them to get to the position that they're at. And did they have to move organizations to get to that level? Were you a director for 15 years and then all of a sudden over the pandemic, you became a VP? Like, they are smart and they are like, don't want to do it.
Wow. Well, speaking of just kind of like the youth, I mean, you do give back and you spend a lot of time, and that's where I think we first crossed paths was at NSF doing the BDSE. So are you still involved with that? And tell the people a little bit about what you do at NSF.
Yeah, so National Sports Forum is a great annual conference that happens every year in a different city. In I think 2012, maybe 2013, they started a group or program called Business Diversity in Sports and Entertainment. Essentially, they looked around and said, there are no Black people here, no brown people, no women. We should probably do something about it. Shout out to Andy Dolich.
Shout out to Andy.
Andy's the guy.
He's the dude.
And so they created BDSE, and what they do is they offer 32 spots every year, scholarships to industry professionals that are fit into the U.S. Census definition of a minority or diverse. And they allow them to come to National Sports Forum for free, and they get to go to all the programming. If you've ever been to the NSF website, it's not a cheap conference to go to, but all the movers and shakers in the industry, a lot of them are there. And so if you want to diversify the industry, you got to be in the room. I do believe, who was it on Hamilton? I'm going to be in the room where it happens. Y'all didn't catch that. You didn't watch Hamilton?
Did not watch Hamilton.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
That messed up your whole point.
It did.
Yes. That's giving us a lot of homework, by the way.
Thank you.
Please go watch Hamilton, because Hamilton is going to convince an entire generation that George Washington was a brown man. Please go and watch Hamilton. It's amazing. Number one.
Go. That's number one.
But for the past, I don't know how many years, I was the chair of BDSE and was responsible for, kind of leading an amazing group of human beings in the industry to put on this content and session and development, and to identify, these 32 applicants. I think last year, the year before the pandemic, or the one we had right before the pandemic, was the first time we had over 100 applicants for literally like 10 spots. Yeah. And so the competition is getting tougher, and the classes or the cohorts that come through every year are getting tougher. Like every year surprises me. Every year I'm like, whoo, coming out, asking people tough questions. I met some of the most amazing human beings in the industry there. And so this is the first year I am not the chair of BDSE. I am like an advisor in sorts. And so I get to sit back and kind of make sure that they look out for certain hurdles and that things go off. And then I will be released of my duties.
There you go. All right, so we're coming to the end, and we're getting close to wrapping up here. So we like to ask all of our guests, what is a coaching gem or an assist or something you would tell your younger self?
Isn't this like an Instagram meme? What's that? And now, isn't this? I feel like this is an Instagram thing where it's like somber music and it's like, oh, we were a superstar. I don't know.
Answer the question. Stop stalling.
I don't know. What was something what would I tell younger Laura? What would I tell Big Savage?
Big Savage.
Yeah, it was a nickname of mine.
Yes, you had all the nicknames.
That was right after South Carolina State. That was my nickname. That's for a non-recorded conversation. I think I would tell myself that, like, yo, stop stressing. Just because everybody else has a 5 and 10 year plan and you don't know what you're doing tomorrow, like, it's okay. And that, your uniqueness and your ability to think differently is valued and will be recognized, and keep fighting the proverbial man, which oftentimes is a man.
The man. That's a great way to end it. MH, final thoughts?
Dope. One of my favorite interviews. I really appreciate your time. Great personality. Thank you for your time, for sure.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate being on, EJ and I've been trying to connect for a while now, and I appreciate the opportunity, even though it's past my bedtime, and it's going to take me a minute to get this red lip off, but it's okay. For EJ, I will scrub my face at 10:30 at night.
Well, we thank you. Our audience thanks you.
appreciate it.
You know, and even
Yeah.
behind the scenes, you've always been, you know, supportive and making sure that we put the right voices out here. And so I appreciate
we need more women. We need more women. Every other episode, there needs to be a woman on your show, and or you need to add a woman co-host. Like,
interesting. And then
you need
so
to have a
means that
woman on the roster.
that means you're going to join one of our live shows because we do ask women to be on our live show. So, hey, thank you for that. I appreciate and accept your offer to be on a live show.
There's like, you know, there's like a whole lot of other women in the world. I actually have a database of over 1,000. And so I'm happy to help find someone else other than me to facilitate that conversation. But how can I help you all? What can I do to help the both of you other than get MH a fan?
That would help tremendously. Thank you very much.
I'm on it. I
appreciate you.
I got a little money in my Cash App. I got you.
I appreciate it.
Donation. This is donation. This is trash can. So we'll leave you at that. I mean, you're always there, and I know you're going to give me some pointers and some notes offline. But once again, I want to thank you. I want to thank our people for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. We drop new shows every Thursday, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel because visual representation matters. So subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and please stay safe. What's the other line? Practice gratitude. No.
Wow.
I'm telling you, we gotta pray at it. We gotta pray.
I know Jesus. Be with us, Lord. Lead each tongue as he tries his outro yet again.
Yeah. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.